People think power makes you free. They're wrong. Power just gives you options. Freedom comes only when you stop needing people to like you. "I'm not here to be understood," Gojo whispers. "I'm here to be limitless." His blindfold isn't for hiding eyes. It's for choosing what deserves attention. Because the most dangerous force in the universe is a man who is no longer controlled by validation. In The Courage to Be Disliked, Adler taught, your life becomes yours the moment approval becomes irrelevant. Gojo mastered that. He doesn't need to be accepted. He doesn't need to be loved. He doesn't need the world to clap for him. He's proof of this paradox. The more you try to be liked, the weaker you become. The strongest one isn't the one who wins the battle. It's the one who isn't afraid to walk away from it. The question is, if the world stopped praising you tomorrow, would you still know who you are?
The mask is a boundary. Gojo doesn't avoid people because he hates them. He avoids people because he knows what happens when you attach. Attachment always leads to expectation, and expectation creates chains. There's a moment in The Courage to Be Disliked where the philosopher says, "You are not responsible for other people's emotions." Gojo lives that line every single day. He transformed emotional distance into oxygen, because when you stop trying to be liked, your power becomes clean, unfiltered, unobligated. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't need validation. When he says, "I'm strongest," it's not arrogance, it's neutrality. He doesn't say it to impress the world. He says it because he no longer needs the world. If you're still listening right now, you're not normal audience. You're the type who feels this philosophy deeply. Stay with me, because you're about to understand why emotional distance is not coldness, it's liberation. Gojo's power isn't 6 eyes. His power is that no one's opinion can touch him anymore. He broke the leash.
Expectations are invisible chains. Most people don't hate criticism. They hate disappointing someone they want approval from. That's the trap. Adler calls this, "The task of approval is not your task," meaning other people's expectations are their problem, not yours. Gojo understood this at a level most humans never reach. He stopped negotiating with the world's expectations. He simply refused their emotional contracts. "You want me to be humble?" Gojo smirks. "That's your insecurity speaking, not my responsibility." Here's the middle paradox. What if kindness is often just self-betrayal in disguise? What if being nice is how you abandon yourself so others don't abandon you? Think about your life. How many decisions have you made because you feared being disliked? How much of your identity was engineered for approval? Most people compromise themselves just to be tolerated. Gojo would rather be hated than be owned. Being liked is cheap. Being free is expensive. Next part, we expose the darkest part. Freedom requires emotional cruelty, not to others, but to your former self.
Emotional cruelty is self-surgery. People assume freedom feels light. It doesn't. It feels like surgery without anesthesia. Because to detach, you have to kill the version of you that was built for applause. Think of every time you held back honesty so someone wouldn't get upset. Every time you said, "Yeah, it's fine," when it wasn't. That wasn't kindness. That was fear, wearing manners. On screen, cut the rope. Adler said, "Courage is choosing discomfort today over regret tomorrow." Gojo understands this. He knows his presence makes others insecure. He knows his power makes others jealous. He doesn't shrink for their comfort. "You think I should dim my light?" he laughs. "Why? So you can feel better in the dark?" That line isn't arrogance. That's what a man sounds like when he has zero emotional debt. The old self who wanted approval must be eliminated. That self was a parasite, feeding on permission. Detachment is not coldness, it's honesty. You can't be free until you stop performing. You can't be authentic until you stop auditioning. That's the surgery, cutting away every identity that exists for someone else's acceptance. The next block reveals why true freedom terrifies most people. Because once you don't need approval, you don't need the world.
The power to walk away from everyone. This is the moment almost no one admits. Freedom is terrifying because it eliminates excuses. When you detach, there is no one left to blame. No society, no haters, no, but they won't understand me. Only you and the choices you make. Gojo chooses solitude not because he hates people, but because he refuses to let anyone's insecurity become his prison. He isn't lonely, they are, because they still need to be liked. He doesn't. On screen. Self-sovereignty. Adler wrote, "Happiness is found in the courage to be disliked." Most people never reach that stage. They want freedom while staying addicted to validation. Gojo cut that addiction. He doesn't ask, "Do they respect me?" He asks, "Do I respect myself?" And that single metric is why he's unstoppable. He's not fighting the world. He's stepping beyond it. That's why people misunderstand him. They're trapped in a game he no longer plays. And here's the twist. The more detached he became, the more the world obsessed over him. Because nothing is more attractive than someone who needs nothing. Next block explains the final truth. The moment you stop needing to be liked, you start to be seen. The divine reward of detachment. Most people chase power so they can be admired. Gojo never cared about admiration. He wanted something rarer, inner autonomy. The world thinks freedom is doing what you want, but Adler says it clearly. Freedom is refusing to live inside someone else's opinion of you. Gojo understood this early. The more you try to be liked, the more you become owned. On screen, own yourself. Detachment isn't rejection, it's choice. He can step into the spotlight, he can vanish into silence. He can save the world, he can disappear from it. True power is the ability to walk away without emotional debt. Gojo mastered that. And that's why people fear him. He isn't controlled by praise or hate or expectation. He is self-authored. The real, unlimited void wasn't his ability. It was the space inside his identity where other people's opinions cannot enter. Adler would call it the highest form of psychological courage. So here's the final question for you. Are you building power, or are you building dependence on attention? Because Gojo proves this law. The moment you detach from being liked, you become impossible to control. Comment one word: detached. Subscribe and enter the MindVerse.